this. Okay, hi, this is Robin the Generous Stitcher, and I'm hoping this will be a short one today. It is May 27th, and I spent the weekend with my parents. They have vascular dementia, and so, and they're frail, and so it's time that I help pitch in with spending time with them. So, and of course with the spouse. And so we went and spent Memorial Day weekend so my sister could have a break, and I think they had a great time. We had fun with my parents. My parents really, I don't see them very often, so they were really excited to have us come spend time with them. And my mom really kind of talked my ear off, which, you know, that's fine. But there was lots of time for stitching, and she a couple times had time for sewing, and she is trying to change my chair up here. She is what we would now call a sewist, very talented, made all of our clothes when we were kids, and she had quilted some with my dad's relatives, but she really got into quilting when we got older. And you know, she bought and she had my dad make her quilt frames, and so they basically took over the living room. And at times, you know, when she had the quilt up, because she hand quilts, okay, and so she'd have the frames up, and we'd have to get from the entrance to the living room to maybe the chairs where we would want to sit to watch TV. We would have to crawl under the quilt frame. So that wasn't a usual occurrence, especially when I was a teenager and my sister was in grade school. So we had lots of fun, and I was able to do a finish, but I want to talk about two things that my mom and I talked about. And one was, because I'm going to show progress on the Biscornu I'm working on, the first one that I've ever done. My mom, I showed my mom, oh, I'm working on this thing, and she goes, I have one of those. And I'm like, what? And so she comes out, and she has this Biscornu, which is lovely vintage kind of fabric here. Not sure that it's actual vintage, but and it was tied off, not sewn, and a little X in the back. And so this was sewn, machine sewn, and then it's been filled with some kind of a grain or pellet. So it's a heating pad, and so you put it in the microwave, you heat it up, and then if you have a sore spot, you can press it to, sorry, I'm about to sneeze, press it to the sore spot. And so I thought this was great. You know, I don't know if we could do this with cross stitch. You probably can with a Biscornu cross stitch. Although I wasn't intending to do that with any Biscornu that I make, but it's a thought. I hadn't realized that people were doing this. So anyway, so she had Willow's up. Come on, Willow. Whoa. Yeah, honey, things are going to fall off the table. So I had some stuff that was sort of on the edge of the table, and she stepped on the edge instead of like where the things were sort of half off the table. So anyway, all right, so Biscornu, you'll see a Biscornu whip it a little bit later. And then I had taken, let's see if I've got it here. Yes. So while I was stitching, and I had a Ort boat, that a friend had made for me with these little plastic snaps. And it's some kind of a, some kind of a fabric with this, I don't know if she put what she used in the middle. I'll have to ask her. But anyway, my mom saw this, and I told her what ORT stood for, which is Orphan Random Thread, and she laughed. She laughed so hard and so long, I thought she was going to wet her pants. She thought that was the most hilarious thing. And then she, oh, I got some floss in here. Let me put it in the trash. So then she was like, and so she took this from me. And so there were several times where I was like, can I have my ORT boat back? Because, you know, I'm stitching at the dining room table. There's not trash nearby to put the threads in. Unlike in my stitching area, I have a little trash can. So I just have it right next to me, and then I just, you know, move my hand off the table and let it drop into the trash can. So I don't need an ORT container at home, although I know people who have their ORTs in large jars, decorative containers. And I have a little one, it's probably right directly behind me, that I got at the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit as a gift from the shop, that has silver on it that a local silversmith made for us. So anyway, so she took my ORT boat, and then a few times she brought it back, and Willow's trying to eat the one that she made. So it's the same size as the original. The snaps that she had are a little bit bigger, and she said, oops, I'm using the wrong one. Let me see. Are they the same? Oh, I guess maybe the ones Tammy made are a little bit bigger. But she had all these plastic snaps, and she was like, oh, I should have put these, and I'm not sure I can tell which one, but one of these is a little further in, and so when you snap them together, if I can get these silly things snapped. So she tried a couple different, this is, I think, the second one she made, and the first one that actually kind of turned out how she liked it. So I think it's okay. She thought, oh no, it's too deep, it's too this, and she didn't like this. So, but I was like, it's beautiful, I'll take it. I probably need more than one for sometimes when I forget to put this one in my pink stitching purse, which is right behind me, or when I'm, you know, maybe I have maybe I need an ORT boat and I have it, and I can have an extra one in one of my project bags. So anyway, I'll show this to Tammy, and she's gonna want it because it's purple. But anyway, this is what you know, she's a quilter, she's a sewist, she has a fabric stash. She has lots of patterns. She showed me while we were there her latest quilt she's working on. She had this idea, and you know, this is an idea that you might get as to why she laughed so hard at the ORT boat. She decided to make my oldest niece, her husband, a quilt, because I think he was the only niece nephew that she hadn't made a particular personalized quilt for. And so she decided, oh, well, what's a manly thing? Okay, one side of the quilt has like vintage automotive stuff on it and race car stuff, which is fine because my niece and her husband do road rallies, you know, in Alaska. That's part of what they do for fun. They do a lot of different activities, but that's one thing that they have done. So she's like, well, what's another sort of manly thing that's not? And so she decided that a manly thing would be making a quilt of outhouses. And so, you know, she talked to my niece because she was down for a visit, and my niece was like, oh, this would be fine. He'll love this. And so, but my niece and my mom were like out at a fabric store, and there was a fabric that had all these different outhouses already printed on the fabric. And so my niece was like, "Oh, that's perfect. I'm gonna," and she ended up buying it for my mom. And my mom was like, "But I wanted to make the outhouses out of quilt blocks." So mom is making this quilt for my niece's husband, my nephew-in-law, I think might be the term, and it's fine. It's a beautiful quilt, and the country type fabric, it's not my taste, but a lot of people like that country aesthetic thing. So that it's not ugly. It's it's going to be quilted with outhouses, and there's different blocks. It's 12. I think it was a 12 block quilt. So there's 6 different, or maybe I think it's 12 blocks. It could be 16, but I don't remember the math now. And the fabric had 6 different kinds. So yeah, I think it's 12 blocks. So 2 different outhouses, or 6 different outhouses. So 6 different outhouses with 2 blocks. They each get 2 blocks. So anyway, but then she's like, "Well, but I still wanted to make my outhouse quilt using my own blocks, making my own blocks, taking different pieces of fabric and putting them together to make outhouses." So then she showed me the outhouses that she was creating out of different blocks of fabric, and they are much better than the country, the pre-printed country fabric. They were really cool. Okay, if you're thinking, it kind of reminded me, and maybe that's just me, it reminded me, and I'm not trying to, just in terms of the creativity and how things came together in creative ways. It reminded me of the Cottage Garden Sampling Fabulous House series, where some of those are just like the Hobbit hole and the haunted house, and I especially love the cottage one where it has those giant pink flowers going everywhere. So it just reminded me of that, the outhouses that she was, sorry, my nose is itching, the outhouse blocks that she's making out of blocks of fabric. And so the fabrics are sometimes, you get a slanted roof, and she showed me one, and I'm like, "Oh, it looks like it has a tin roof." And she's like, "That's supposed to be like ice." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So Willow's still thinking that she's gonna eat the orc boats. So anyway, so that's something I got this weekend. I'm unsnapping them. I don't know why. I just see that I can, because when she gave me this, they were all snapped together, and they were so hard to unsnap. I just left them. I just shoved it in the bag while they were all snapped. And I'll stick these right up here so the kitties don't get them. So the other thing about the snaps that she discovered as we were working through the composition of the Ort boat is that she has a big jar of all these white snaps, and she called me in and was like showing me the white snaps, and some of them have like a spindle through them, like a spike that comes up the center, and she's like, "Well, but your snaps don't look like this." And I'm just like, I don't make cowboy shirts with snaps like she has. So I'm like, do you want me to text Tammy and see what she used? And this is Tammy, the woodland stitcher, by the way. And she was like, no. And so it turns out Mom has 5 different types of tools for different types of plastic snaps that then they're kind of like wrench sort of things, where they look kind of like a wrench thing, and then you clamp them onto the snap and use the lever of the handles to put the snap into the fabric and to do whatever you do. So yeah, so she has 5 different tools for, I guess, 5 different kinds of white snaps. So she found the matching ones and the right ones that kind of that match these. So it was sort of like, Mom, I can't really help you on this because I don't know what you've done. I don't know what the snaps are. Willow's right here in front of me. And so anyway, so finishes. I'm going to put the finishes on, insert on the video now. And so I've got the picture of one of them. So this was the mountain laurel, which is the state flower for Connecticut and Pennsylvania. And then I don't have a picture of the Oregon grape. Maybe I should stick a picture of the Oregon grape in there. But here's the picture of the bride's Oregon grape towel. So the bride is a coworker of my husband's, and so she got these today because I left them in a gift bag on the next table, and it is gone. So I told my husband, well, you can take the gift bag with both the towels and just put it in her inbox or her mailbox or whatever they have at his job. So anyway, so that's what happened today. Is they were delivered. Ooh, good. Sometimes they got married on Christmas Eve of 24, and so that is less than 6 months. That's pretty good for me in terms of, according to Emily Post, it's still polite to give a wedding gift within 1 year of the service. So that's less than 6 months. That's pretty good. So I'm going to show you some curated cross stitch collection now. This is what I got the last time that I went to Acorns and Threads. I have not mail ordered anything, but I have a couple things on my list now that I have finished one piece and worked on another piece this weekend that I'm going to show in my whips. It's time to start thinking about buying some finishing materials so that when the one piece is ready to be fully finished now, and so I can get the finishing materials and then get some of my friends to help me. And the Salem Area Stitchers, we've actually talked very briefly, a couple of us have talked about, hey, at one of our next in-person meetups on a Saturday where we stitch from like 10 to 4, why don't we do a finishing day? And so everybody brings something that they need to fully finish. And there's Willow jumping down from the table. Okay. And then we all help each other do our finishing, or catch up on our finishing, because some people have like a bin of things to fully finish that they don't get to. I'm hoping, or at least I was hoping, by that date to have. I have one fully finished thing that I need to, order the backing and paint it, and then I have this Biscorno I'm working on, but that I'm working on for a finishing class, which may happen later in the summer. And then I've got another that would be a little pillow. And so, I would need help doing that, or I could take it to Acorns and Threads because they have a finisher. So anyway, so those are things that are sort of plans. And so, so this is the only pattern I got at Acorns and Threads. This would have been the weekend before Memorial Day. And so this is Flock to the Sea, and it can be made as a little drum. And I thought it was really cute, very simple. It would be pretty quick to stitch up. And it is by the Mindful Needle Designs. And this is Dawn Frisk. And so it's cute. There's a flamingo swimming that's got a little like swimming cap on. So anyway, there is another flamingo pattern that I had on my list to pick up the last time I went to Acorns and Threads, but they were sold out, and that was Stitches by Ethel. I think it's called Coastal Flamingos. I've seen it on Flosstube. And then, while I was at the cash register, I picked up the last copy they seem to have had of Needlepoint Now, because my goodness, look at that front cover. And, oh, look at the back cover. So, anyway, someday I will do needlepoint. I shouldn't be looking through the book while I'm trying to do a Flosstube. And then I also had this waiting for me, just cross stitch. This is the summer edition with the now famous flamingo that I know that Laura with Stitching by the Shore is doing a naming contest or a naming activity with her group of subscribers. Oh gosh, and that reminds me, I had a giveaway that I was supposed to take care of last time that I didn't, so that will be at the end. So anyway, the one thing in here that is a new feature is I believe it's called the Flossy Flock, which is on page 32. And this is the main reason I bought this magazine, but you know, the chameleon on the cover is not bad either. So anyway, Acorns and Threads got featured in the Flossy Flock, which is their new feature to highlight different local needle shops. And they had asked us a number of months ago, and some of us wrote testimonials. They took some pictures, and it looks like just the pictures got published and a little bit of blurbs and identifying people in the pictures, but not any of the testimonials that we customers had written. So, and then the other thing I got was Seraphim Linen 36 count. This is called Witching Hour, and it looks rather blue in this camera light, but it's kind of a blue gray. It seems to me in the lighter it looks really gray. In the darker model it looks more blue, and almost too it's kind of a greenish gray as well. So anyway, it's linen. It was a good price, and I had on my list one project bag, DMC 37.99, which is this color. This will be used $37.99. This is the called for floss for the whiskers on Halloween Cap by Satsuma Street, and I want to start that this month. It may be started on Saturday. I kind of want to get some other work done, and so I have three skeins in here. 2 will go into my stash. 1 will go into the kitted up Witching Hour. Sorry, not Witching Hour, that's the fabric. Halloween Cap by Satsuma Street, which is the project I want to start. And one of my stitchy friends was at the shop, and she's like, hey, I have some extra things I made. Do you want one? And so I was like, okay, sure. I can always use it, or I can regift it. So, and it was a good place to hide the floss in. So when Willow and Max inspected my purchases, they didn't get to take the floss and eat it, which they like to do. And then the big purchase, the project bag that I was not expecting to purchase. Okay, I was going to get a large project bag, which are not always in stock at Acorns and Threads. Corey, who does the bags, does them sort of quarterly, so they don't always come in. Well, these came in and they went off the shelf like that because Trek. Okay, I think that's I don't need to say any more. Okay, and the back, and which I was like, okay, they are kind of all over in terms of orientation. So I got the second to the last one. I got the big one. This is what Halloween cat is going into. Although since I finished a project, I do have a spare of the cheaper plastic ones, which I'm tempted to use, but this one's bigger and sturdier, so the Halloween cat pattern won't get bent, spindled, mutilated around the corners. And so I'm gonna stick this over here because I'm building a little pile, and so that was all the curated cross stitch collection, and now onto the whips. And so yesterday when we got back from Mom and Dad's and my sister's house, I was exhausted, but the first thing I did was, okay, we need to do some laundry. We need to, put our suitcase contents away. I didn't set up my CPAP immediately, and I knew I would regret that because then it would just makes me later when I go to sleep. But we got the first or second, we got the first load of laundry going, and got the bed stripped, and because it was like we were going out of town, so I was like, when we get home, we need to strip the bed because the sheets are getting a little far gone. And so anyway, then it was sit in the recliner with my feet up and watch some TV on streaming. And so that's when I work on Fox and Rabbit, A Gathering of Acorns, which you may see as a release for Nashville this year. And I got this window, did I finish it? Oh, no, not quite. There's a couple stitches left right in those two little windows that I need to finish. But otherwise, the window is almost all done. There's only one window where I've finished the glass, which is this lighter eggshell. I think that might be the color, and this one, and this one don't have the eggshell filled in yet. Maybe that'll be another TV activity. But anyway, so it has a house. Over here it has a woman, and then all across the sky and around it, it has branches with acorns, and pretty large acorns. So, all right, so that's what I worked on yesterday after we got back from Mom and Dad's. And let's stick this right back in its little teeny project bag. And then I did get, I think on the third Zoom of the month, I think it was, I had talked about that I possibly needed to frog this, but it turns out I didn't. And so the red that I started is the tail and part of the body, or the start of the tail and part of the body for the cardinal in this cardinal biscornu. And this is what it looks like. I'm stitching it on 32 count Lugana, which is an opalescent, so which you can kind of see the sparkles as I move it. So that's the first cardinal and branch and start of the berries that I'm working on for one of the corners. I've got three more of those to stitch, plus some Christmas decorations. And then the back of the biscornu it's basically a square with the branches, and at each corner is one of these Christmas ornaments. So I need to finish this by mid-August if the finishing class that's possible, if that actually happens. So I was thinking about doing winter blessings, which I have shown this a couple times on this channel. I was thinking about making that my June finish, but now I'm thinking this has got to be my June finish. And then I can work on the winter's blessing. And then maybe if I can get this close or closer to being done, I can or at least get the top done and then have the bottom left to do. Then I can do the winter's blessing and maybe finish it by July 12th. Is our next in-person Salem Area Stitchers group is this coming Saturday on May 31st. But the one after that we were talking about maybe would be fun to be a finishing day. That will be on July 12th. So, all right, and then I have one more. You've seen my finishes, and then after the finishing this weekend, I picked up Japanese Bantam, which is part of the Airmail series this is October 2024 from Lindy Stitches. And oh, by the way, the Cardinal Biscornu is a tiny modernist design. I have a ton of her tiny modernist Biscornus, and I will eventually stitch them. So, but anyway, I got the border done, yay! And the 49 got restitched in the part that I made a mistake on. So, anyway, so this, and I did show the pattern and the floss, or the linen and the floss. I did show this to my great niece's daddy, and he loved it. And so he's not going to tell her what she's getting for Christmas, but that's why I told him, because my sister and her kids are not really, if you tell one of them, they all know. So, and I think they can keep a secret from Lucille. So anyway, that's all my finishes. That's what I'm doing this weekend, is going to my Tai Chi class and then driving south to the Salem Area Stitchers 10 to 4 in-person retreat. And we're gonna have a good sized crowd. I hope Cindy's got enough chairs. So we usually meet in her kitchen, and I think some of us, one time, more of us started showing up, and then we had to, some of us sat at the table, some of us sat at the breakfast bar, and I know she's got some chairs into the living room, so I hope she has enough room, because I know more people coming that don't always show. They're going to come because it's a Saturday and they're free, and they don't always come to our in-person. But yeah, and I guess there's also one person that's, I know usually comes, but she's busy this weekend. So anyway, thank you very much, and like, comment, subscribe. So I have a giveaway. I think it's in I think it's back here. Yes, it is. So this is the giveaway. It's by Robin Pickens, and it is Seasonal Courier Blackbird's Autumn. And so I purchased this last fall, and then she has done a larger version of this with more than one blackbird that she released in Nashville. And I was like, I like the bigger one. I love this one. Why wouldn't I want more? So, so when I got the bigger one, because you can kind of cut the bigger one in half and you still have this, or, pretty much most of this. And so I got that one. There's also one with Blue Jays. I think I got that one too. But I decided, well, why don't I give this one away, because I don't need the giant, I don't need the giant one and the smaller one. So, okay, I am going to pause this video and look at my YouTube account. I had 2 people who put the keyword in the comments. And so what I'm going to do is flip a coin, and whoever, and if it's tails, it's going to go to one person, and if it's heads, it's going to go to the other. So let me stop this video, and then I'm going to shoot in just a little bit to announce the winner. So, and I have their email, or I have their YouTube account, and so I will put that up when I know who's won. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Good. All right. When I hit the phone, I wasn't sure if I didn't hit the pause with it too. So I've just flipped a coin. It came up tails, and so I figured with the 2 people that commented with the keyword of seasons or season, that they one of their Flosstube handles started with a letter that was closer to A and one that was closer to Z. And so I figured the one that was closer to A would get the heads, and the one that was closer to Z would get the tails, and it came up tails this quarter here. And so that is VIRPIR 2453, and I will put that in text in this video. And if they can email me at my Flosstube email, which is GEN, I gotta think about it. Yeah, it's GENSTITCHR@gmail.com. That is it's the same as my Flosstube handle, just Gmail with the Gmail account. So congratulations, and I hope to hear from you soon, and I will see you guys in about 2 weeks. Thank you.